ओके आज silviculture छ silviculture is the branch of forestry which deals with the establishment development care and reproduction EDCR of stand up timber है establishment development care and reproduction of stand up timber the art and science of cultivating forest crop is silviculture. Silvics is the study of life history and general characteristics of forestry and crops with particular reference to environmental factor is the basis for the practice of silviculture. Silviculture includes both silvics and their practical application. Objective of silviculture, okay, price, okay, production of quality timber and production of large volume per unit area are reduction of rotation, I introduction of exotic, C creation of man-made forest in the place of natural forest, E economic valuable plant production. Okay, and classification of forest in different basis. Method of origination high forest and coppice forest. High forest एज चाहिँ इभन एज रेगुलर फरेस्ट अर्थात् प्योर स्पिसिस चाहिँ कम्पोजिसनको आधारमा चाहिँ यसको आधारमा इभन एज र अनइभन एज कम्पोजिसनको आधारमा प्योर र मिक्स फरेस्ट. प्योर फरेस्ट भने 80% भन्दा बढी एउटा स्पिसिसको बाहुल्यता राख्ने. एन्ड क्राउन क्लासेस, ओके, क्राउन क्लासेस एमएस दिदी इज क्राउन क्लासेस. Okay, dead and moribund tree, badly leaning tree or whip tree, suppressed tree 1/2 of 5/8, 1/2 of 5/8 of the predominant in height. Okay, suppress भने 1/2 of 5/8 of predominant in height, and dominated means 3/4. 3/4 is dominated of tallest tree, and वानमा छ डोमिनेन्टमा प्रिडोमिनेन्ट टालेस्ट ट्री. कोडोमिनेन्ट 5/6 of the predominant is 5/6 of the predominant is codominant. Okay, and classification of forest based on the space of ground. Okay, space of ground को आधारमा similar to canopy density. Okay, SCS MD CD2, SCS MD CD2, open thin dense close. ओपन छ, थिन छ, डेन्स छ, क्लोज छ. ओपनमा स्पेस फ्री स्पेस 75% भन्दा माथि, कोही स्पेस फ्री स्पेस चाहिँ 50 देखि 75, एन्ड थिन सब स्पेस फ्री स्पेस 25 देखि 50%, एन्ड माल स्पेस फ्री स्पेस 125%, एन्ड क्लोज डी स्पेस ट्री विथ नो फ्री क्राउन एन्ड लिटिल भिगर. ओके, एन्ड डेड डाइङ एन्ड लोयर इल्डर, एन्ड canopy density CD2, canopy density CD2, close, dense, thin and open. Close when the density is 1 to overlap. Okay, density चाहिँ कति हुनु पर्यो, 1 हुनु पर्यो, जो चाहिँ ओभरल्याप हुनु पर्यो है त. अब डेन्सिटी चाहिँ 0.75 देखि 1 हुनु पर्यो, जस्ट टच हुनु पर्यो. अब थिन 0.52 0.75 नो टच हुनु पर्यो. ओपनमा डेन्सिटी चाहिँ लेस देन 0.5 स्पेयर हुनु पर्यो है त. अब सिल्भिकल्चर क्यारेक्टर फर्स्ट लाइट क्राउन फायर, फर्स्ट लाइट क्राउन फायर ड्रप ब्राउजिङ ट्री नेचर. ओके, सिल्भिकल्चर क्यारेक्टर फर्स्ट रेडिएसन फरस्ट अर्थात् घोर फरस्ट एचआर फरस्ट एचआरएच होइन एचआर फरेस्ट घोर फरस्ट रेडिएसन फरस्ट इट इज डिफाइन्ड एज द frost occurring on night or clear sky produced by loss of heat by radiation. It is also said to be hoarfrost. Okay, it occurs in plain area and kill back young plant. Okay, ground frost which takes 80% in Nepal. Okay, ground frost चाहिँ 80% नेपालमा ओकर गर्छ. त्यसपछि पुल फरेस्ट पिसी फरेस्ट पुल फरेस्ट also known as PC forest. It is defined as the accumulation to considerable depth of heavy cold air flow down into natural depression from adjoining area. Accumulation to a considerable depth of heavy cold air flow down into natural depression from adjoining area, and this has more deleterious effect on vegetation than ground frost, as the freezing effect extends to a considerable height. It is also said to be convection forest, mainly occur in hilly region. And C, adjective frost is it is defined as a frost produced by cold air brought from elsewhere. And we are reading a frost hardy species. Acacia Diospurius melanoxena, Acacia melano, Sisa, Roxburghi, Tony, र Ziziphus jujuba is frost hardy and moderately frost hardy. Ordina cardifolia, Bombax saiba, Dolbergia latifolia, and Moros alba. Okay, Ordina cardifolia, Ardina simul, Ordina bomb, Dolberg lati, and Moros. And frost tender species Acacia nilotica, Hydrodirecta indica, Garuga pinnata, Tictona grandis, Terminalia tomentosa, or Terminalia origina. And second so light. Okay, all light demand, all species that required abundant light for its best development. Light demander species and shade bearer species, all species capable of persisting and developing under shade. Okay, light demander species is Ordina cordifolia, हल्दु कालो सिरी सेतो, हल्दु कालो सेतो, खैर निम सिमल, देवदार सिमल भीमल, रानी सल्ला, गोब्रे सल्ला, बाङ्गे काठ, साल साज, बयर. ओके, सेड बेरर लिस्टिसी मोनोपेटला, कुडमेरो सिन्दुरे चाँप, किम्बु कर्कस स्पिसिस जामुन, लोट सल्ला टोनी, and थिङ्गुरे सल्ला रातो सिरिज. Okay, those are shade bearer species. And coppice power. Okay, it is power of any species to produce new coppice shoots from the stumps after the tree if felled. Okay, best season of coppicing is spring because tree reserve large food materials. Okay, spring is best coppicing because tree reserve large food materials. So no coppicing cap हुन्छ cedrus, abies and pinus are abies pinro है त. Pinus species are no coppicing. Badly coppicing B Bombax saiba is badly coppicing, and fairly coppicing DCP TQ DCPTQ fairly coefficient Dolbergia latifolia Castornopis species Pterocarpus marsupium Terminalia alata Terminalia bellerica र Carcas species. Okay, and good copicer is Sida. Good copicer is Sida. Yes, Surya Ravasta Salix species bench Syzygium cominant Diamond. And E. Eucalyptus species. D. Dolbergia sisum Disporus melanoxylon tendu. And Acacia catechukhoir Edina cordifolia albazia species series Edda directa indica name. Okay, and silviculture of some important species. Silviculture of some important species. Light demander, strong light demander 1, moderate light demander 2, light demander 3 र सेड बेरर 4 and सेड demander 5 है त यो सिरियल. and frost means frost hardy 1, moderately frost hardy 2, frost sensitive 3, young seedlings are frost tender but mature are hardy. And dwarf hardy, moderately dwarf hardy, dwarf sensitive, and seedlings severely affected mature hardy. Fire hardy, moderately fire hardy, fire sensitive, seedlings severely affect mature hardy. Any copies, strong copies, fair copies, no copies, no copicing oil in early life. And browsing hardy, browsing sensitive. And tree nature evergreen and deciduous. Those are numeric. सालको के छ भन्दाखेरि 32 31 122 सालको फर्मुला 32 31 122. पहिलो यो भन्दा पनि पहिला एसएफडी एफसी बीटी एलएफडी एफसी बीटी भन्ने कुरा हुन्छ. and 32 31 122. ओके, देन हामीले विभिन्न अब सूर्य र अवस्था सालको कुकोट नै 32 31 122 सिसौँ 31 1 21 22 and 21 22. सूर्य र अवस्था जर्मिनेसन चाहिँ 10 देखि चाहिँ 15 दिन, 10 देखि 28 दिन, भाइबिलिटी 7 दिन, सीड टाइप रिकेल्सिट्रेन्ट, सीड पर केजी 450 देखि 1000, पाइनस र अनि डलबर्गिया सिसौँ 3 1 21 22 एन्ड 3 देखि 4 विक, भाइबिलिटी 4 वर्ष र सीड टाइप अर्थोडक्स अनि 50,000 सीड पर केजी. पाइनस रक्स बर्गाई 4 वटा 1 3 फेरि 1 2 देखि 4 वर्ष विक जर्मिनेसन एन्ड भाइबिलिटी चाहिँ 1 वर्ष, सीड टाइप अर्थोडक्स र यो चाहिँ 8,000 देखि 1,00,000 के अरे 12,300 सम्म. त्यसपछि एकाटे खयर चाहिँ खयरमा चाहिँ 5 वटा 1 2 टा 2 है त, लास्टमा 2 टा 2. यसको 30 दिन है त जर्मिनेसन, 6 देखि 8 महिना भाइबिलिटी अर्थोडक्स, 30,000 देखि 40,000 सीड पर केजी. एल्लस नेपालेन्सिस उत्तिस 32,010 12 32,010 12 है त उत्तिसको कोड. त्यसपछि उत्तिसको चाहिँ जर्मिनेसन 2 देखि 4 विक, भाइबिलिटी 4 मन्थ, अर्थोडक्स 23 मिलियन. एन्ड सेड्रस देवदारा 41 3 टा 3 21 41 3 टा 3 21 इज सेड्रस देवदारा. 2 विक जर्मिनेसन, 4 मन्थ भाइबिलिटी, अर्थोडक्स 8,000 सीड पर केजी. अनि पाइनस वालिसिएना गोब्रेसल्ला 2 टा 1 32 31 1 2 टा 1 32 31 1 सीड कोड त्यसपछि 2 देखि 4 विक जर्मिनेसन, 4 वर्ष भाइबिलिटी अर्थोडक्स, 15,000 देखि 30,000 चाहिँ सिड पर केजी। सीमावाली चिलाउने चाटा 2 12 1 चाटा 2 12 1 सीमावाली ची 1 देखि 3 सम्म चाहिँ जर्मिनेसन। ओके, जर्मिनेसन, भाइबिलिटी सर्ट, सिड टाइप अर्थोडक्स एन्ड 1,60,000 देखि 3,50,000 सम्म सिड। त्यसपछि छ कटुस, क्यास्टोनर्फिस स्पिसिस र मसुरी कटुस। क्यास्टोनर्फिस स्पिसिस 21,00,12 चाहिँ क्यास्टोनर्फिस स्पिसिस 21,00,12 चाहिँ क्यास्टोनर्फिस स्पिसिस र मुसुरी कटुसका चाहिँ 24,00,12 चाहिँ मुसुरी कटुसमा 24 जोडियो। अनि 3 देखि 4 मन्थ जर्मिनेसन, फ्यु मन्थ भाइबिलिटी एन्ड रिक्याल्सिट्रेन्ट 1300 नट हुँदो रहेछ है त। टर्मिनली अलटा साज 31,12,12 साजको एन्ड 25 दिन जर्मिनेसन, 1 वर्ष भाइबिलिटी अर्थोडक्स। त्यसपछि 400 देखि 700 फ्रुट। सिमल 13,14,42 सिमलको 25 दिन जर्मिनेसन, 1 वर्ष भाइबिलिटी एन्ड अर्थोडक्स। 100 ड्रप पट। ओके, ट्याक्टस बकटा रोड सल्लाह 41,23,31,1 भयो, यसको थाहा छैन। एन्ड फोयर भाइबिलिटी अर्थोडक्स 8,000। ओके, एन्ड त्यसपछि छ हाम्रो एबिस पिन्ड्रो 41,3,3,21 इज एबिस पिन्ड्रो एन्ड 2 विक जर्मिनेसन, 6 मन्थ भाइबिलिटी अर्थोडक्स 27,000 सिड। जुग्लान्स रेजिया ओखर 31,00,12 कोट 1 देखि 2 मन्थ चाहिँ यसको जर्मिनेसन, 18 मन्थ चाहिँ भाइबिलिटी, रिक्याल्सिट्रेन्ट 35 देखि 120 चाहिँ नट्स। ओके, टर्मिनेलिया बेलेरिका हर्रो 33,21,32 32,21,32 हर्रोम 33,21,32 बर्रोम 32,21,32 छैन। त्यसपछि 1 इयर भाइबिलिटी, 1 देखि 2 वर्ष भाइबिलिटी अर्थोडक्स 450 देखि 520 हर्रो, 540 चाहिँ बर्रो। कर्कस स्पिसिस 11,021 11,031,21 11,031,21 कर्कस स्पिसिस 4 to 5 विक जर्मिनेसन, यसको भाइबिलिटी छैन। रिक्याल्सिट्रेन्ट 150 देखि 200 एक्रोन। ओके, बेटुला उत्तिलिस भोजपत्र 1,31,31,22 1,31,31,22 भोजपत्र 2 देखि 3 विक जर्मिनेसन, 6 मन्थ चाहिँ भाइबिलिटी अर्थोडक्स 2.5 मिलियन। ओके, सिल्भिकल्चर अफ सम एक्जोटिक स्पिसिसको चाहिँ सिल्भिकल्चर हेरौँ। टिक्टोना ग्रान्डिस टिक कोड 13,31,11,2 टिक्टोना ग्रान्ड 13,31,11,2 टिक्टोना ग्रान्डिस अर्थात् 133 1,1,2 एन्ड भाइबिलिटी 12 महिना एन्ड सिड पर केजी 12 देखि 1,300 ड्रप्स एन्ड नेटिभ चाहिँ बर्मा, इन्डोनेसिया, थाइल्यान्ड एन्ड इन्डिया। BITI बर्मा, इन्डोनेसिया आयो, थाइल्यान्ड एन्ड इन्डिया। टिक्टोना ग्रान्डिस युकालिप्टस मसला 313,321 313,321 ओके, सेभरल इयर्स। यसको 6 लाखदेखि 7 लाख सिड पर केजी एन्ड अस्ट्रेलिया चाहिँ इप्कालिप्टस पाइनस स्प्याचुला 331 एक दुईवटा 331 एक पाइनस स्प्याचुला दुईदेखि तीन दिन चाहिँ भाइबिलिटी अनि 1,00,000 देखि 1,50,000 सिट पटकेपछि मेक्सिको चाहिँ पाइनस स्प्याचुला पपुलस डेल्टोइस 111 312 111 312 2 केही छैन नर्थ अमेरिका। ठिक छ। त्यसपछि ट्री इम्प्रुभमेन्ट अब केलाई भने ट्री इम्प्रुभमेन्ट इज अ ब्रान्च अफ फरेस्ट्री एन्ड हर्टिकल्चर that focus on enhancing the genetic quality and performance of tree. The primary goal of tree improvement is to develop and propagate tree population with desirable traits such as fast growing, resistance to disease and pest, adaptability to different environment and improved wood quality. Method related to tree improvement: SBT CSH GR SBT CSH घर SBT CSH GR जार ओके। selection tree improvement program being with the selection of individual tree or population that exhibit desirable trait. This trait can vary depends on the intended purpose, whether it's for timber production, ornamental value, or environmental restoration. Breeding once desirable traits are identified, breeding techniques are employed to cross pollinate them and create offspring with a combination of the desirable trait. This process is known as control or artificial breeding. It helps in creating genetically diverse population. Genetic testing and DNA analysis are often used to assess the genetic makeup of tree. This helps in understanding the heritability of species trait and selecting parent tree for breeding more effectively. त्यसपछि छ then progeny testing. Progeny testing involves planting seed or cutting from the selected parent tree and evaluating the performance of their offspring. This process helps assess the heritability and stability of desired trait across generation. त्यसपछि colonal propagation methods such as root cutting or tissue culture are used to replicate tree with desirable trait exactly. This ensures that the genetic makeup of the selected tree is presented. Seed orchard. Okay, seed orchards are established to produce high quality seed from selected parent tree. These seeds are then used for reforestation and afforestation project. Okay, hybridization, crossing different tree species or varieties can lead to hybrid with unique characteristics such as desired resistance or tolerant to specific environmental condition. And genetic conservation, maintaining genetic diversity is crucial in tree improvement program. Genetic conservation effort including seed banks and gene banks help preserve the genetic materials of valuable tree species and population. And adaptation to climate change. In recent years, tree improvement programs have gained importance due to climate change. Selecting and breeding tree Varieties that can adapt to change environmental conditions such as increased temperature and drought is becoming increasingly important. And regulatory consideration. Tree improvement may be subject to regulate and guideline, especially when working with native or endangered species. Compliance with this regulation is essential to protect biodiversity and ensure responsible tree breeding practice. Rapid fire पढौँ हामीले. The type of forest occurring naturally on any site in general depends on a factor climatic factor, geology and topography CGT. Okay, silviculture is the art of raising and harvesting forest crop. ठिक छ. The Society of American Forester Technology describe silviculture as the science and art of cultivating forest crops, the theory and practice of controlling the establishment, composition and growth of forest within the climatic factor. Temperature, rainfall and light and their seasonal variation are the important element which influence vegetation. And the seasonal distribution of rainfall in very important for vegetation. The topography influence vegetation, the determinant being altitude and aspect. Okay, in general or rise in 100 meter in altitude corresponding to a fall of 1 degree Celsius in mean temperature of to about 1500 meter above which the fall more rapidly. Aspect is very influential in vegetation, mainly in hilly area region because of radiation and duration and intensity of wind. The chemical properties of soil affect on long-term productivity through change in plant nutrition and availability. One of the most easily observed soil chemical properties is soil pH. Okay, and soil horizon. Okay, soil horizon vary in pH from little below 3.5 to little above 9.5. 3.5 to 9.5 is soil horizon. Okay, and forest soil pH value quite variable and depends upon region, climate and parent materials. Environmental factor may be classified into two classes, extrinsic and intrinsic. Okay, extrinsic environmental factor including precipitation, solar radiation, topography and soil parent material is extrinsic, and intrinsic is environmental factor including soil. Okay, soil, site, plant, insect and disease. Intrinsic भित्रको चाहिँ environmental factor. The morphology of any tree is differentiated into three forms: the crown form, the foliage form and the root form. Crown, foliage, root system. According to foliage character, tree are classified into two categories: deciduous tree and evergreen tree. Generally conifers are in evergreen. Okay, nature. Okay, generally hardwood are in deciduous nature. Hardwood say deciduous, conifer is evergreen. Okay, aerial and horizontal root are found mainly ficus species. The shapes and size of the tree crown vary generally with species and growth condition. Okay, and the species like Acacia arabica does penetrate the soil below 30 मिटरसम्म. Acacia अराबिकाको रुटले पेनिट्रेट गर्न सक्छ। द ग्रोथ अफ द ट्री इज द progress of the development of the stems, branches, foliage, flowering, and fruiting. The tree growth vary depends with the seasonal condition of temperature, moisture, and nutrients supply. Okay, the tree which from the uppermost leaf canopy and have their leading shoot free is known as dominant tree. Okay, dominant tree are classified into two: predominant, codominant. Predominant tree determine the general top level of canopy. Tree which do not form the part of the uppermost leaf canopy, and have their leading shoot of which are not definitely overlapped by the neighboring tree is known as dominant tree. Okay, and the height if the dominant tree are about 3/4 of the total tree of the tallest tree. Okay, the height of the suppressed tree is more than 1/2 to 5/8 of the height of base tree. Okay, the tree including dead, bent over, and leaning tree usually of the whips types are known as dead and moribund tree. Disease tree is denoted by K4. Okay, the height attained by the dominant tree of a crown is called top height. Okay, the height attained by the dominant tree of a crop is called top height. Top height is measure of site quality. Okay, top height is calculated by formula, Lowry formula. According to Lowry formula, mean crop height is calculated by the formula, that is mean crop height. Mean crop height is mean crop height. And forestry could be roughly classified into two categories: light demander and shade bearer, according to their light intensity tolerance. Okay, and list of some light demander species. Okay, the species which are raised with the primary objective of helping off a lost hardy species and are usually removed at an early stage as soon as they have served this purpose are called nurse crops. Okay, the nurse crop may be helpful for the shade bearer species. Nurse crop चाहिँ shade bearer species help हुन्छ. The subsidiary species, okay, usually low shrubs but on occasion small tree or even herbs intentionally introduced into a plantation with the primary object of restoring a cover to the soil as quickly as possible and so minimizing the deterioration due to exposure are called cover crops. The most suitable cover crops are leguminous shrubs. The deleterious effect of one plant upon another plant through the production of chemical inhibitors that are released into the environment is known as allelopathy. And the highest concentration of allelopathic compound is found in the part of the plant foliage and फ्रुटमा चाहिँ एलिलोप्याथी हाई पाउँछ. एलिलोप्याथी commonly becomes problems during एफोरेस्टेसनमा विशेष गरी यसले असर गर्दो रहेछ. Type of silviculture system majorly adopted in Nepal is two, that is high forest system and low forest system. Okay, the silviculture system which produce sands originating from seed is called high forest system. Produce stand originating from seed is high forest system. High forest system has been classified into two systems, that is even edge and uneven edge, and in which forest system the stand consists of tree of the same or nearly the same age is even a system. The method of regenerating stand in even age system are classified into three types, that is clear cutting system, seed tree method, and shelter wood method. Clear cutting, seed tree, and shelter wood. Okay, then the removal of old is stained in one cutting. Okay, except for a small number of tree left singly in small group or narrow stripe as a source of seed for natural regeneration is called seed tree method. Okay, and the establishment of a new stand under the old stand is known as shelter root system. Okay, canopy system is also known as low forest system. Okay, the system in which stands are originates from vegetative sprouting by the tree that are harvested, stem sprout, root sucker, and naturally rooted layer is known as copy systems. The first attempt to introduce scientific forest management in Nepal was made by एमआरए स्मिथले चाहिँ हो 1942 चाहिँ साइन्टिफिक फरेस्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट नेपालमा 42 an attempt has been made to introduce scientific forest management by UNDP and FAO at Rautahat district in 1995 by FINIDA. Okay, major silviculture treatment prescribed in operational forest management plan: seedling filling, regeneration filling, removal of shelter tree, yellowing cut assessment. Okay, and the objective of seedling filling is to give major light to seedling without opening the canopy too drastically. Okay, that will enable the grass and shrubs to suppress the unwanted seedlings. In seedling filling, which type of tree are removed from over mature tree such as sal and other species? Which kind of operation are done in the seedling filling? Removal of some over mature tree, midly store and understory are also thinned. Finally retained 130 देखि 150 big stem per hectare. Okay, in area where the stand are biologically mature with established soil regeneration, this sort of treatment is normally prescribed in regeneration filling 19 filling 17 which is more urgent in regeneration filling or stand affected by root compared to heavily one. Regeneration filling has to be determined based on the result of regeneration survey. Okay, the full form of the ACC annual allowable cut, which and which is the fundamental principle of sustainable forest management. The ACC of a forest should not exceed the CI of the forest. AC annual allowable cut करेन्ट एनुअल इन्क्रिमेन्ट भन्दा थोरै काट्नु बढी हुनु पर्यो कि है त एनुअल कट चाहिँ करेन्ट एनुअल इन्क्रिमेन्ट भन्दा कम हुनु पर्यो. व्हाट इज द फर्मुला टु गिभ द एनुअल रिजिटेसन एरिया इज ए इज इक्वल्स टु ए बाई आर. A is equals to annual regeneration area. A is the total forest, total production forest, high priority area, and H R is a rotation area. The most ideal site for a nursery is one with a level or flat terrain. And for a nursery, what kind of soil is good? Soil with clay loam texture with pH nearly normal. Clay loam texture. On the basis of duration, nursery can be classified into types: temporary and permanent. In general, one man hand operated royalty pumps can supply enough water for about 30,000 seedling. Okay, supply गर्न सक्छ. And then in general, a two-man hand-operated rotary pump can supply enough water for about 50,000 seedling. South-facing slopes are much warmer than north-facing slope. For the nursery, soil should be suitable for post, preferably forest topsoil, sand. Okay, to fill 10,000 3 inch into 7 inch 7.4 centimeter into 18 centimeter lay flat polypod 3 meter cube of soil and 2 meter cube soil of soil is to 2 meter cube of soil and 1 meter cube of sand are needed. Okay, and large container will needed about 4 inch into 7 inch 10 centimeter into 18 centimeter. Flat container will needed about 4 meter cube of putting mixture per 10,000 pots. The weight of soil is in one pot are 300 gram. At altitude higher than 1200 meter, southerly aspect is preferable. Okay, 1200 meter मा चाहिँ साउथर्न एस्पेक्ट बनाउने. इन हट एरिया अफ लो एलिभेसन north facing slope is preferable. And then the ideal slope for the nursery is 5 degree. Generally, the width of nursery bed should be 1 to 1.2 meter. The operation which are carried out for the benefit of forest crops at any stage of its life between the seedling and mature stage are called tending operation, which tending operation is done to reduce the risk of fire damage, especially in pine stand, and to improve the quality of wood is known as pruning. Generally, pruning prescribes follow the removal of all branches of too high height of 2 meters or up to height of 2 by 3rd of the total height of the tree. Pollarding is done at the height of 1 to 1.2 meter. The weeding is especially in plantation weeds has to be carried out at least twice a year, once immediately after plantation, next in winter period. Okay, and the weeding has a remarkable effect on the performance of height and diameter growth, especially in case of eucalyptus species. If the thinning method is changed from place to place in the same stand, the overall thinning program is not pre-thinning. Okay, elite plant are selected for future tree and other interfering which either tree are removed during thinning. Elite thinning guideline in Nepal has been developed by MOFSC, Ministry of Forest and Soil Conservation, Ministry of Forest and Soil Conservation. Okay, we are going to read tending operation. These operations are carried out for benefit of a forest crops at any stage of its life between seedling and the mature state. It essentially covers operation both on the crop itself and on the competing vegetation. Weeding, cleaning, pruning, thinning. Weeding, cleaning, pruning, thinning, improvement, filling, climber cutting, and gardening of unwanted root. Okay, it does not include regeneration filling. यसले चाहिँ टेन्डिङ अपरेसनले रिजिनेसन फिलिङलाई इन्क्लुड गर्दैन एन्ड ग्राउन्ड अपरेसनलाई पनि इन्क्लुड गर्दैन लाइक सोइल वर्किङ ड्रेनेज इरिगेसन एन्ड कन्ट्रोल बर्निङलाई इन्क्लुड गर्दैन कल्चरल अपरेसन अब आयो कल्चरल अपरेसनमा टेन्डिङ भइहाल्यो कल्चरलमा के छ भन्दाखेरि अपरेसन अन्डरटेक्स टु एसिस्ट अर कम्प्लिट एक्जिस्टिङ रिजिनेसन टु प्रमोट द प्रपर development of the crop or to minimize the after effect of filling damage. It includes subsidiary filling. यसले चाहिँ subsidiary filling लाई include गर्छ subsidiary filling कल्चरल अपरेसनलाई के कुरालाई इन्क्लुड गर्छ subsidiary filling weeding cleaning on remuneratives improvement filling and thinning in groups of advanced growth, gardening or poisoning of unwanted growth, climber cutting, and even peeling of filling debris and control burning, but usually not other ground operation, nor pruning. Okay. And टेन्डिङ अपरेसन ओके टेन्डिङ अपरेसन र कल्चरल अपरेसनमा के फरक छ भन्दाखेरि carried out for the benefit of crops by creating best possible condition of growth cultural operation to assist or complete existing regeneration and to minimize the minimize the after effect of filling damage त्यसपछि छ नो एम टु obtain natural regeneration कुनै एम हुन्न obtain natural regeneration obtaining natural regeneration and include pruning but do not include control burning okay and include control burning and peeling of filling debris okay and carried out every year carried out in the year following filling okay carried out both in natural as well as artificial regeneration associated with survival systems relying primarily on natural regeneration and weeding अब weeding को कुरा आयो removal or cutting back of all weeds in the seedling stage and weeding along stripes along the line of tree or to weed in pitch around the individual tree is common practice okay a circle of 45 to 60 centimeter diameter around the tree 3 weedings usually done in the first year 2 weedings second year and 1 weeding third year fast growing species लाई चाहिँ 1 to 2 weeding चाहिँ necessary हुन्छ time of weeding first weeding असोज कार्तिक अका असोजका अका एके चाहिँ फर्स्ट विडिङ सेकेन्ड विडिङ चाहिँ माघ फागुनमा सेकेन्ड विडिङ अनि थर्ड विडिङ चाहिँ जेठ असाढ ओके इज थर्ड विडिङ ओके एन्ड अब्जेक्टिभ हामीले विडिङ किन गर्ने टु reduce root competition and transpiration water loss to improve light condition. Okay, then we are going to cleaning. Okay, cleaning, release cutting, also known as cleaning, also known as what, release cutting. Okay, cleaning also known as release cutting or tending operation done in sapling crops. Okay, involving the removal of topping of inferior growth, include individual of favor species, climbers, etc. when they are interfering with the better growth. Okay, growth individuals of the favor species. Operation carried out in cleaning, cutting back of shrubs, cutting back of the individual of inferior species, cutting back of the malform or disease individual of desired species, singling of coffee shoots, climber cuttings. Okay, objective to improve light condition, to reduce root condition and transpiration water. Pruning, okay, pruning, it is the operation removal of live or dead branches or multiple leader from standing tree for the improvement of the tree or its timber. The objective of pruning is to get clear not free timber. Okay, best season of pruning is winter is best seasoning. Pruning should not be known beyond 2/3 of the total height of tree. Okay, 2/3. Okay, स्याप्लिङमा चाहिँ 1/3 of the total height of tree. पोलमा चाहिँ 1/2, ट्रीमा 2/3 चाहिँ प्रुनिङ गर्नु पर्यो. क्लासिफिकेसन अफ प्रुनिङ चाहिँ अन द बेसिस अफ काइन्ड अफ ब्रान्चेस रिमुभको आधारमा ड्राई प्रुनिङ र ग्रीन प्रुनिङ. अन द बेसिस अफ एजेन्सी अफ प्रुनिङ नेचुरल र आर्टिफिसियल. टुल्स युज इन प्रुनिङ ह्यान्ड सप, प्रुनिङ सियर्स, खुकुरी, खुर्पा, एक्स. ओके, थिनिङ. अब आयो थिनिङ. अ फिलिङ मेड इन अ म्याच्योर mature stands for the purpose of improving the growth and form of tree that remains without permanently breaking the canopy. Why thinning? To reduce number of tree in a stance so that the remaining ones have more space from crown and root develop to encourage stem diameter increase. To remove dead, dying and diseased tree and other tree which may be a source of infection to remaining healthy ones. To obtain earlier return from capital investment in a stance by utilization of thinmed meter aerials and thinned meter aerials by shortening the rotation. के गर्ने त? By shortening the rotation to produce a different smaller size of timber which can meet a different object of management. To obtain timber of the desired quality and mechanical strength. To ensure decomposition of raw humus in temperate forest and kind of thinning used in regular forest. Kind of thinning कस्तो खालको kind of thinning? log thinning, low thinning, German thinning, ordinary thinning. Remove from lower crown classes, suppressed, overtopped to favor the dominant ones. Okay, crown or French high thinning. Tree are removed from the upper crown classes to open canopy and favor the development of the most possible promising tree of same classes. The dominated and suppressed stem are retained unless they are dead, dying, or diseased. Okay, and mechanical thinning, ms thinning, mechanical thinning also known as ms thinning, stick thinning, thinning done on the basis of predetermined spacing. Okay, predetermined spacing को आधारमा thinning गर्नु पर्यो. And row, stripe, or group are removed in a minimum spacing gauge by a standard sticks. Can be applied in natural regeneration also. Natural regeneration also may applied हुन्छ. The length of sticks depends on the upon the average diameter of the crown and species. Okay, some empirical formula. सालको लागि हार्ड वारेन्ट फर्मुला फर साल 1/d 1.5d इज वारेन्ट फर्मुला सालको लागि. टीको लागि सगिया फर्मुला 1.5d + 4. एन्ड फर सिसुका लागि हार्ड फर्मुला 2d हार्ड फर्मुला. इलाइट थिनिङ, इलाइट ट्री आर selected for future tree and other interfering with elite tree are removed during thinning. Thinning in irregular forest, selection thinning, a method of thinning desired to obtain and or maintain selection composition in crops with all classes adequately represent. Following type of tree are removed: dead, dying, and disease. Inferior tree with resist the development of their nice bore from all sides. Tree which are less valuable than their nice bore. Tree which are of no special importance as regard desirable crops mix. Okay, inferior tree stand over ground of oil ground, advanced growth which may also be thinned. Improvement filling, cutting made in stand past the sapling stage for improving composition and quality by removing tree of undesirable species, form or condition from the main canopy. Girdling, it is defined as cutting through bark and outer living layer of wood in a continuous incision all round the bole of a tree. Cutting, climber cutting, salvage cutting, and sanitation cutting. Salvage cutting are made for the primary purpose of removing tree that have been or are in imminent danger of being killed or damaged by injurious agents that other than competition between tree. Thinning age mark value also. Sanitary cutting involves the elimination of tree that have been attacked or appear in imminent danger, okay, of attack by dangerous insect fungi in order to prevent this pest from spreading to other tree. Not necessary condition to the removal of marketable tree. Okay, pollarding, okay. Pollarding is normally carried out as at some height above the ground so that it produce a crown of new shoot from birth. below the cut. Okay, a species advantage is, the special advantage is that the new shoot are out of reach of cattle's. Pollarding is grown is 1 to 1.2 meter height. The following species have good pollarding ability. Okay, सिसौँ, डलवर्गीय सिसौँ, सिसौँ देवदार, सिसौँ दबदबे, काङ्यो, भिमल, किम्बु, बाङ्गेकाठ, खस्रु, बैंस and saz has good coefficient pollarding power and silviculture systems. अब हामी silviculture system पढ्दैछौँ. Okay, silviculture system and subdivision, principal operation, regeneration and type of produce objective. Okay, clear filling system, clear filling and clear filling by compartment or subcompartment annually. Okay, and regeneration usually artificial हुन्छ regeneration and seed from adjoining from already present on ground or from copies advanced growth. Okay, and to produce crop चाहिँ भेरी इभन एज चाहिँ प्रड्युस हुन्छ है त, भेरी के त इभन एज प्रड्युस हुन्छ. देन क्लियर स्ट्राइप, क्लियर फिलिङ एन्ड क्लियर स्ट्राइप सिस्टम. क्लियर स्ट्राइप क्लियर फिलिङ बाई के त स्ट्राइप, क्लियर फिलिङ बाई स्ट्राइप प्रोग्रेस एक्रस द रिजिनेसन एरिया. ओके, युजली आर्टिफिसियल हुन्छ. थ्रु नेचुरल रिजिनेसन इज अप्टन पोसिबल फ्रम एडजोइनिङ एरिया. यो चाहिँ नर्मली इभन एज हुन्छ है त. एन्ड त्यसपछि अल्टरनेट स्ट्राइप सिस्टम. ओके, क्लियर फिलिङ स्ट्राइप अल्टरनेटिङ विथ अनफिल्ड स्ट्राइप, युजली नेचुरल हुन्छ. त्यसपछि मेबी आर्टिफिसियल हुन्छ, इभन एज हो है त. पोजिटिभ एस्पेक्ट अफ क्लियर फिलिङ सिस्टम, पोजिटिभ एस्पेक्ट चाहिँ इजी टु एप्लाई. ओके, मदर अफ all the even age forest management and in the ideal condition of regeneration, growth and renewal, every even age management will try to convert into these systems. Negative aspect of clear filling system, negative aspect of clear filling system, not applicable when there is public pressure for encouragement after clearance or in regeneration. Establishment cannot be assured promptly, cannot use in high slopes. And system, shelter root system. Okay, subdivision, the uniform system, the seedlings filling uniform over an area or compartment or subcompartment. And regeneration, mainly natural, often largely assisted by artificial regeneration. Type of crop produce, even as the regeneration interval is short. Okay, the group system, seedling filling in group over compartment, subsequent filling is enlarge the group. Okay, and mainly natural through control of mixture in often associated assist by sowing and planting. Uneven when young but even as later if the regeneration interval is short. Okay, and the shelter wood stripe system मा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि Regeneration filling is in stripe with are which are very narrow and runs east to west, okay, but progressive pro, progressing across the regeneration area stripe wide and progress rapid, okay, mainly natural हुन्छ even as regeneration interval is short, okay. The stripe and group shelter root system. Progressive stripe open up by ground, mainly natural, more or less even as the regeneration interval is short, and the irregular shelter root system is compromise between shelter root group and selection systems. Irregular shelter root system, okay, is natural, uneven as the regeneration is long, and पोजिटिभ एस्पेक्ट अफ सेल्टर रुट सिस्टम हाम्रो पोजिटिभ एस्पेक्ट के छ त सेल्टर रुट सिस्टमको भन्दा इट इज इन बिट्विन क्लियर फिलिङ एन्ड सेलेक्सन सिस्टम अल्दो it has more affinity towards clear filling systems. It is generally applied in area where establishing regeneration within a short span is doubtful or difficult. Thus, a certain time period is set aside for regeneration. The mother tree left for shelter could provide large size timber and serve as seed producer, thus ensuring better regeneration from the better mother tree selected. Could be applied in gently slope area. Normally gently slope area मा applied हुन्छ. Negative aspect of shelter root system, a little complex and closely. Generally it is not suitable when established regeneration is plentiful, okay. And तिनीमा छ selection system subdivision, the single selection system, group selection र stripe selection. Single selection, tree removed singly in selection filling, tree removed in group, tree removed in stripe. Regeneration natural. Single tree selection, single selection मा चाहिँ uneven age with all age classes mixed together on each unit of area, and group मा चाहिँ uneven age and selection मा पनि uneven age, okay. Positive aspect of selection system, applied to high crops कहाँ हुन्छ applied to high slopes मा चाहिँ selection system हुन्छ where even as forest management is not possible. Geographically valuable area where naked landscapes is not desirable, okay. Negative aspect of selection system, complex, thus needs more skilled manpower and also costly because the same area should be visited mainly time according to the cutting cycle. Silviculture system applied in Nepal. Selection system location Morang, Birganj and Koilali forest division मा चाहिँ selection forest, and species तराई hardwood mainly sal forest चाहिँ हुन्छ मोरङ, बिरगन्ज and Koilali. Selection system forest applied by कसले त forest division and TCN and CFUG बाट. Selection system mostly all accessible forest selection system. Location species broadleaf of and coniferous species, forest officer and CFUG. Clear filling चाहिँ साधारण clear filling degraded sal forest लाई sagana फरेस्ट डेभलपमेन्ट प्रोजेक्टबाट एन्ड कोपिस विथ युनिफर्म सिस्टम सागरनाथमै हो कोपिस विथ स्ट्यान्डर्ड युनिफर्म पनि सागरनाथ स्ट्यान्डर्ड पनि सागरनाथ कन्भर्जन अफ हाई फरेस्ट टु प्लान्टेसन सागरनाथमै कोपिस विथ युनिफर्म चाहिँ युक्यालिप्टस एन्ड सिसौँलाई सागरनाथमा त्यसपछि कोपिस विथ स्ट्यान्डर्ड चाहिँ युक्यालिप्टस एन्ड सिसौँलाई कोपिस कन्भर्जन अफ हाई फरेस्ट टु प्लान्टेसन फरेस्ट युक्यालिप्टसबाट सिसौँलाई भने कन्भर्जन अफ पाइन फरेस्ट टु ब्रोडलिफ मिक्स फरेस्ट पाइन फरेस्टबाट ब्रोडलिफ मिक्स फरेस्टमा चाहिँ गणेश कम्युनिटी फरेस्ट पाल्पामा चिरपाइन टु सीमामा लगाएका छन् गणेश कम्युनिटी फरेस्ट पाल्पामा चिरपाइनबाट सीमावाली सीमा कन्भर्जन अफ कोपिस फरेस्ट टु हाई फरेस्ट कोपिसबाट हाई फरेस्टमा चाहिँ शङ्करनगर बुटोलमा कोपिसबाट हाई फरेस्टमा शङ्करनगर बुटोलमा डिपार्टमेन्ट अफ फरेस्ट रिसर्च एन्ड सर्वेबाट है त साल फरेस्टलाई हो एन्ड वी आर गोइङ टु ऱ्यापिड फायर ओके प्योर फरेस्ट इज 80% crop height is average height of regular crop as determined by Clori formula. Veteran is the over maturity of seed originating from it. Forest of Coppice origin. Loose forest भने कस्तो रहेछ generally composed of tall broadleaf tree usually found in tropical region loose forest around equator in rainforest lignotuber are underground swelling found in most species of eucalyptus visible spectrum of light is of light range in wavelength from 400 नानोमिटर देखि 720 नानोमिटर energy composed of wavelength shorter than 400 nanometer is ultraviolet and then longer than 720 nanometer is infrared 290 नानोमिटर देखि 520 नानोमिटर ओके albedo 42% of included radiation is reflected which is known as albedo okay out of 7 color in the visible spectrum red and blue are effective in photosynthetic RB is affected in photosynthesis absorption of light depends on the thickness area and chlorophyll content of leaves okay thickness area and chlorophyll content of leaf okay light used in photosynthesis is less than 2% of the energy incident on well illuminated leaves okay then diameter exploitable in selection system the minimum diameter at breast height at which the tree are considered suitable for exploitable clear filling system clear stripe filling system is suitable for strong light demander species if uniform system is to be applied it required very heavy filling in the canopy for light demander species shelter wood selection system should be preferred for shade bearer species okay and if seed air of principal species occur at long interval as in fire selection system is more suitable than shelter root systems okay if seed air of principal species occur at long interval or in a far selection system more suitable than shelter wood if natural regeneration is uncertain and artificial regeneration not possible then selection system is applied okay selection system is applied to forest growing on rocky and precipitous slopes. Slope liable to erosion should not be worked under clear filling system. Plantation in an area from which vegetation has long been absent should technically be called as afforestation. Of, biochemical or physical change in fruit in after harvesting that is necessary for germination is after ripening. And a condition of S class distribution by which the stand provide almost an equal amount of forest product annually in periodically perpetuity in B natural S class distribution. An S class with 1 year as an interval as gradation. A place for cultivating and displaying tree is arboretum. The art of cultivating tree with main objective of shade and landscape effect is arboriculture. And which mm, which one of the following is the process of renewal of a forest is artificial regeneration. The process of restoring blank in place with fresh placing is beating up. Fallen of cut branches of twigs of tree are called bushwood. Late burning is silviculture prescription in deciduous forest is commend at the time of after leaf fall. Bush is a general term used to denote forest shrubs on unattained indigenous forest. Okay, butyrus is a outgrowth from the base of a tree found mostly commonly in the following forest types: tropical rainforest. Callus wood healing tissue in plant is callus, or localized lesion in tree bark or cambium is canker. And and uh, and the vertical classification of tree canopy differentiated the canopy classes. Yellowing of plant foliage primarily by the disease in etiolation. A small plant community of loss important but holding distinct character clan. A pattern of genetic variation in species is cline. A group of individual from common pattern by asexual reproduction is clone. An isolated group of tree is clump. An inferior plant rejected from the plant nursery school. Release cutting is a term used in silviculture synonymously with cleaning. Release cutting भनेको cleaning. And climax in forest succession in general used to mean climatic climax. Thicket is a term exchangeable with the following sapling. The science which deals with the identification and systematic classification of tree is dendrology. A plant originally cultivated but not found in wild scapes. Forest grown at near approximately of a watercourse lake is rain riparian forest. Frost produced by cold air bound from eastward, then the prevailing area is advective frost. The amount of grazing that an area can support is grazing capacity. The occurrence of individual in a mixed crops should be better called sporadic. Mixed crops should be better called sporadic. Or disease process in hardwood tree characterized by gum exudation is gummosis. And the natural process whereby plant become adapted to drought cold heat is hardening of Lowry formula used to determine crop height. Response of plant growth to light is heliotropism. Passing the cold season in inactive state is hibernation. A plant species which is the second host of a parent but not essentially needed for the completion of life cycle of the parasite is alternative host. The movement of plant from one area to another area and is established there is called as invasion. A tropical climber is liana. Young seedling plant in a coppice crop is maiden, and best season of coppicing in spring because tree remove large food materials. The geographical source of origin from which a given lot of seed or plant are collected is provenience. A plant that grow on waterland, old field and wayside is ruderal. Okay, the delimiting height of the plant in the class seedling must be within 3 feet. Any recognizable stage in plant succession is there, and a larger than usual cutting in poplar willow for the purpose of propagation is seed. Tree reserve for collection and supply of seed during regeneration filling is not a plus tree. A hard fossil resin is amber, and and a piece of round wood about 1 meter in length, usually cut for pulp or firewood, is billet. Forest devil is an instrument. One of the following species characteristically appear on limestone rock is um, cop, cupressus. Which one of the following species is intolerable of high water table is देवदार. High water table चाहिँ intolerable हुन्छ. Sal grow best in pH 4.5 to 5.5, teak 6.5 to 7.6. Himalayan cypress is found mainly limestone, and Himalayan cypress चाहिँ लाइमस्टोनमा पाउँछ. And the subtropical zone of western Nepal is characterized by pinus rocks Borgai, and the term forest succession was first used by Thorio कोबाट थोरियोबाट है त. And nursery is an area where plants are raised for eventual planting out एलएस खाना. ओके, नर्सरी क्लासिफिकेसन. नर्सरीलाई कसरी क्लासिफिकेसन गरिदिन्छ भने स्मल नर्सरी, मिडियम, स्मल, मिडियम, लार्ज. स्मल नर्सरी, नर्सरी विथ एन एरिया अफ लेस देन 3 हेक्टर. ओके, त्यसपछि मिडियममा चाहिँ 3 to 10 हेक्टर, एन्ड लार्जमा चाहिँ 10 हेक्टर भन्दा बढी. क्लासिफिकेसन अफ नर्सरी, क्लासिफिकेसन नर्सरी चाहिँ क्लासिफिकेसन गर्दा बार रूट नर्सरी, plants are directly grown in nursery and root are separated at the time of lifting, which is further planted without soil surrounding the root is bar root nursery. And container nurseries, plant are grown in a growing medium, कुनै पनि growing medium बाट चाहिँ planting गर्नु in a container. Root of lifted plant are covered by soil. And classification on the basis of planting stock को आधारमा हो, र त्यसपछि basis of irrigation facility. Dry nursery र wet nursery. Dry nursery nursery that is maintained without any irrigation or artificial watering, and wet nursery that is maintained by irrigation or other artificial watering during the dry period. Okay, and on the basis of duration of use को आधारमा temporary nursery or field nursery and permanent nursery. Nursery form in or adjoining the plant okay, plant area. It is designed to provide seedling needed to plant particular area, and where the area is completely planted, the nursery will move elsewhere. Time duration 1 plant season. Okay, primary nursery that is maintained for supply nursery stock for a long time on a particular basis. Time period is 5 or more than 5. ठिक छ त्यसपछि नर्सरी स्टक वेयर अब नर्सरी स्टकको बारेमा चाहिँ whenever is grown in a nursery for planting out is called nursery stock. Whenever is growing in nursery for planting out is called nursery stocks. This term is also used for plants supply from a nursery. Nursery bed, it is a prepared area in a nursery where seed is sown or into which transplant or cutting are put according to the moisture requirement of species को आधारमा चाहिँ raised bed nursery according to the moisture requirement of the nursery. Raised bed seed bed prepared in heavy moisture area above ground or patch level is called raised bed. Raised bed may have to be prepared 15 to 20 centimeter above the ground level. The species which are commonly raised on bed are deodar, kale, spur, fir, robina, walnut, bird cherry, ash. Okay. 27 and look at this. त्यसपछि हाम्रो sunken bed seed bed which are prepared below the level of the ground or patch are known as sunken bed. This type of bed are prepared in dry areas and bed are made 10 to 15 centimeter below the general ground level or the inspection path. Okay, 10 to 15 centimeter. And this type of bed is used for raising stock through vegetative propagation like cutting of poplar, sisum, mulberry, willow, bamboo. Beside this Acacia nilotica, Acacia benthenwil, Prosopsis juliflora, and level bed. Seed bed which are prepared within the level of the ground known as sunken bed. Okay, sunken bed, level bed also known as sunken bed. This type of bed are prepared in moderately moisture retained area. Okay, level bed are commonly used for raising seedling of Tuni, Eucalyptus, Rita and Terminalia. On the basis of seedling raise को आधारमा seedling bed, mother bed also known as mother bed and transplant bed. Seedling bed, it is that nursery bed in which seedling are raised either for transplanting in other bed or for planting out. The nursery which has only seedling bed and no transplanting bed is called seedling nursery. Transplant bed, it is that nursery bed in which seedling raised in seedling bed are transplanted before planting out in forest. Or nursery having only transplant bed, that is in which seedling are not raised, only transplant are kept, is called transplant bed. Nursery layout, यसरी हुन्छ nursery layout. Look at this. And width of permanent path is about 1.8 meter. Okay, width of permanent path 1.8 meter. Distance between two bed is 50 centimeter, that is 0.5 meter. And length of bed is 10 to 12 meter. Width of bed is 1 to 1.2 meter. In hill 0.9 to 1 meter. Set height 1 to 1.2 meter, 2 meter height. And margin area 20 to 25% in hill. The width of terrace is about 2 meter and the bed is layout east to west. Okay, the width of trace is 2 meter. Okay, and standard seedling height. Okay, standard seedling height for planting is 50 centimeter. In hill slope not exceeding 5 degrees should be selected. For a nursery up to 12 meter north aspect is suitable, and above 12 meter भन्दा माथि south aspect is suitable, and temperature decrease with increase in altitude. This is applied in north hemisphere. तराईमा इस्टदेखि वेस्ट इडब्लु इस्ट वेस्ट, हिलमा चाहिँ नर्थ साउथ है छ. टाइप अफ कन्टेनर. पोलिपट आर मोस्टली युज इन नेपाल. 3x7 in size, lay flat, close at the bottom and made of 200 गज पोलिथिन. नम्बर अफ पोलिथिन pots per kg is 460. There are either 8 5 mm holes. Okay, punch at the bottom part for drainage and aeration. Volume is 300 milliliter and containing 300 gauge soil. These are transplant or black for fodder species. Bigger side polythene pot of seedlings of 4 inch into 7 inch are used, which contain about double soil than 3 inch into 7 inch pot. Number of polythenes pots per kg are 510. A small forest nursery raising 20,000 plant per year will need 600 liter of water per day. Okay, putting mixture. The forest topsoil may be satisfactory as a putting mixture without further treatment, but in Nepalese context most soil are too heavy and need the additional of sand or compost. Proportion of different ingredient in putting mixture is a flowing. For slightly infertile soil with too much clay, slightly infertile soil with too much clay is topsoil, sand and compost is 3:1:1, 3:1:1. For soil that are too sandy, एकदम sandy छ भनेपछि topsoil, sand र compost 3:0:1. For soil with slightly too much clay, topsoil, sand and compost 3:1:0. Fertile, slightly acid, pH 4.5 to 6. Peat material must be in the following ratio. Sand, silt and clay ratio मा चाहिँ in 1:3. Okay, sand, silt, peat material 1:3 and 0.5 manure. Okay, container filling. To fill 10,000 3 inch into 7 inch 7.4 centimeter into 18 centimeter lay flat poly pot about 3 meter cube of soil or 2 meter cube of soil plus 1 meter cube of sand are needed. The weight of soil in one pot is about 300 gram. So a nursery raise 20,000 plant in 3 inch into 7 inch poly pot each year will need about 4 tons of topsoil plus 2 tons of sand or 6 tons together equivalent to 220 डोका load. Okay, for 0.27 inch 7 inch 10 is to 18 lay flat poly pot about 5.5 meter cube of putting mixture per 10,000 pot. Seed production, it is the most important prerequisite of the natural regeneration for the seed. The production of seed depends upon species of the tree, size of the crown, climate and other external factor. And सूर्य रस्ता मोडरेट सिडेड एन्ड गुड सिडेड सूर्य रस्ता 2-3 भनेपछि मोडरेट सिडेड 2 र 3-5 गुड सिडेड अनि टर्मिनेलिया टोमेन्टोसा 234 पाइनस वालिचिएना 223 पाइनस रक्सबर्गाई 345 345 अनि त्यसपछि सेड्रस कोप्रिसस टुरुलोसा 378 सेड्रस देवदारा 345 345 पाइसिया स्मिथिएना 356 एबिस पिन्ड्रो 610 610 द स्पिसिस ह्याभिङ एनुअल सिड इयर आर एज फ्लोइङ एनुअल सिडेड को हुन्छन् भनेपछि टिको बाबुलको खयरको र सिसौको चाहिँ एनुअल सिडेड हुन्छ सिड डिस्पर्सल विन्डबाट हावाबाट सिड डिस्पर्सल हुने सिसो खयर टोना आर्डिना एल्बजिया स्यालिक्स एल्नस पपुलस पाइनस रोडोडेन्ड्रोन टेरोकार्पस मार्सुपियम टर्मिनेलिया मोस्ट कोनिफर एसर बेटुला साल एडिना टिक विन्ड अब वाटरबाट चाहिँ डलबर्गिया एल्नस टिक ट्रिविया म्याङ्ग्रोभ एटिएम भयो डिएटिएम बर्डबाट मुलबेरी क्यालिकार्पा इथेरिटिया अनि प्रुनस सिइपिएम एनिमलबाट चाहिँ जिजिफस एकासिया प्रोसोप्सिस जेटएपी अनि ग्राभिटीमा चाहिँ वेक जुग्लान्स एन्ड एस्कुलस ओजे एन्ड Sewing may be done in following ways broadcasting, line sewing, stripe, patch sewing and dribbling. Mound sewing in high rainfall or waterlogged area. Patch sewing is done in mound 1.2 into 1.2 meter at bottom and 0.6 to 0.6 in top and dribbling. Okay, dribbling is defined as sowing of seed in shallow holes made with suitable instrument at definite interval done in जुग्लान्स एन्ड कर्कस ओके डिब्लिङबाट जुग्लान्स एन्ड कर्कस जेक्यू डिब्लिङ जर्मिनेटिभ क्यापासिटी एन्ड प्लान्ट पर्सेन्टेज ओके जर्मिनेटिभ क्यापासिटी भनेको चाहिँ के हो भन्दा द पर्सेन्टेज बाई नम्बर अफ सिड इन अ गिभन स्याम्पल द्याट एक्चुअली जर्मिनेट इरिस्पेक्टिभ अफ टाइम जर्मिनेटिभ क्यापासिटी र प्लान्ट पर्सेन्टेज percent of number of seed in a sample that develop into seedling at the end of the first growing season को कति डेभलप हुन्छ भन्दा एकासिया अराबिका जर्मिनेटिभ क्यापासिटी 50 प्लान्ट पर्सेन्ट 26 सूर्य रस्ता 80 जर्मिनेटिभ क्यापासिटी 80 प्लान्ट पर्सेन्ट 66 टिक्टोना ग्रान्डिस 50-25 टर्मिनेलिया 70-29 डलबर्गिया 90-78 त्यसपछि पाइनस 80-37 एन्ड पाइनस वाली रक्सबर्गाई 80-37 वालिची 66-63 सेद्रस देवदारा 65-58 एबिस पिन्डरो 13-6 एन्ड कोनिफर स्पिसिस ब्रोडलिभ स्पिसिस एबिस पिन्डरो चाहिँ 17 सिड पर ग्राम हुन्छ सेड्रस देवदारा 9 सिड पर ग्राम कुब्रिसस टुरुलोसा 240 सिड पर ग्राम पाइनस वालिचिएना 16 सिड पर ग्राम एन्ड पाइनस रक्स बर्गाई 9 सिड पर ग्राम एन्ड ब्रोडलिभ एकासिया क्याटेचु 29 सिड पर ग्राम 39 सिड पर ग्राम एडिना कर्डिफोलिया 11,288 सिड पर ग्राम एन्ड बम्ब्याक साइबा 29 सिड पर ग्राम युक्यालिप्टस 2700 सिड पर ग्राम जुगलान्स रेजिया 110 सिड पर ग्राम सोरिया रौस्ता 529 सिड पर ग्राम एन्ड टिक्टोना ग्रान्डी 1760 फ्रुट पर ग्राम टर्मिनेलिया टोमेन्टोसा 529 सिड पर ग्राम. Okay, root pruning. Okay, root pruning is done by cutting the tap root at depth 20 देखि 25 सेन्टिमिटर root pruning है त and all later root at the distance of 10 centimeter from the stemबाट 10 सेन्टिमिटर from the stemमा चाहिँ काट्नु पर्यो. Always prune the root on क्लाउडी डेमा चाहिँ प्रुन गर्नुपर्छ रुट प्रुन. एन्ड सिजन अफ प्लान्टिङ मनसुन प्लान्टिङ जुन जुलाई बार रुट प्लान्ट विन्टर प्लान्टिङ इन वेट साइट स्पेसली फर सीड विथ विन्टर डोर्मेन्सी लाइक स्यालिक्स पपुलस जुगलान्स एन्ड एसर SPJA Salix Populus Jugland and Exer. Pre-monsoon planting during mid-May to June. Pre-monsoon Meju. Best for stump and container raised plant. Method of planting. Entire planting is that method of planting in which either plant is lifted from nursery and planted out in the field. त्यसपछि छ बार नेक रुट प्लान्टिङ गिभ सेटिस्फ्याक्टोरी रिजल्ट फर एल्नस नेपालेन्सिस एन्ड क्रिप्टोमेरिया जापानिका whereas it is failure in planting pines abies suga betula and fraxinus root cover with soil ball of nursery soil brick and container planting stump root shoot cutting. A stump is a kind of cutting about 20 to 25 centimeter long. Stump 20 to 25 centimeter long, of which 80% is root and 20% is shoots. Root collar diameter range from 1 to 2.5 centimeter. 14 to 16 month in the year in the nursery for teak and sisau 14 to 14 meter teak and sisau को लागि Eda directa indica cassiasaima Zimelia arborea can be raised by stump. Hardwood branch stem cutting generally 2.5 to 3 meter in length. Willio and poplars and plantation technique. Okay, we are going to read plantation techniques. Site preparation, spacing in site preparation to eliminate existing vegetation on the site wholly or in part to reduce competition to the plant tree and to provide access for planting. Spacing in planting according to old school of thought the base sowing and planting distance is 2 into 2 meter. The number of plant per hectare can be calculated. N is equals to A by XY, good for both square and rectangular planting. Number of plant per hectare, A is equals to 10,000 square meter, area 1 hectare, and X spacing distance in line in meter, Y spacing distance in meter between line, and useful spacing of some species. Teak को लागि for teak 1.3 into 1.3 in low quality classes,
2.6 into 2.6 in high quality classes, eucalyptus 2.4 into 2.4 to 3.3 into 3.3, and 2.4 in Sagarnath Forest Development Project. Fodder species को लागि 5 into 5 and pitting. The standard size of pitting is 30 centimeter deep and 30 centimeter in diameter. At the bottom, large pit for Artocarpus and Ficus को लागि चाहिँ large pit चाहिन्छ. Season of planting after the onset of monsoon, that is in the month of June. Winter planting most likely in wet site. Okay, winter planting wet site such as Salix, Populus, Juglans and Esculus. Time of seed collection. Time of seed collection. Seed collection time. Sison, Dema, Teak, Noja, Khoyer, Zapfe, Bilupine, Ono, Lorsala, No. मेथड अफ सीड कलेक्सन के तरिकाबाट सीड कलेक्सन गर्न सकिन्छ. Collection from ground of seed of which has fallen either naturally or by shake of tree. For large seed or fruit which fall under unbroken sal, teak and oak. Okay. Collection of seed by looping the branches or from freshly filled tree. Species whose seed or fruits is either too small to the economically picked from the ground, betula or widely dispersed by wind, sisu and choir. Collection of seed from standing trees. Species whose seed are likely to get damaged by fallen branches, acer and morus. Seed extraction. Okay, seed extraction from pulpy and fleshy fruit. Remove pulp by hand or by treading, beating etc. Gemelia and keep them in water. Squash, knead and pound the pulp, float and settle down in water and separate seed by decantation. Okay. Dry fruit, those in which either seed is sown with seed contained in it, is it teak, walnut and oak. Okay. Those in which part of seed is sown with seed container in it, is it sisson, required only beating to break the fruit. Those in which clean seed is sown, conifer. Pre-sowing treatment of seed to increase the rapidity, completeness of germination. Weathering. Okay. Weathering, exposing the seed to sun, wind and rain to crack it hard coat. Teak को लागि चाहिँ weathering. Water treatment, soaking in cold water for 24 देखि 48 आवर बिफोर सोइङ. फर मिडियम साइज सिडको लागि सोकिङ इन बोइलिङ हट वाटर हार्ड कोटेड सिड जस्तै एल्बेजिया, ओक एन्ड चेस्टनटको लागि. एन्ड अल्टरनेट विटलिङ एन्ड ड्राई टिक. ओके. प्यासेज थ्रु एनिमल बडी, एकासिया, प्रोजोप्सिस जुलिफोरला र सेन्ट्रलम एल्बम. मेकानिकल ट्रिटमेन्ट, coating, filling of hard impervious coat of seed. Tick. Chemical treatment, lime water, dilute alkali acid solution 5 to 10% for 24 hour. Scoring, fire treatment टिकको लागि. Stratification, fermentation by inoculum from cattle shed. Bacterial action for about 2 months. And the commercially planted species, Dalbergia, Eucalyptus, Tictona, Pinus roxburghi and Pinus patula. DET पिपी 5 वटा Regeneration is the renewal of a forest crops by natural or artificial means. Natural regeneration र artificial regeneration. Natural regeneration, the renewal of a forest crop by self-sown seed or by copies or root sucker is natural regeneration. When a regeneration is obtained from seed forms crops is called seedling crops. Artificial regeneration, the renewal of a forest crops by sowing, planting, or other artificial method is artificial regeneration. Plantation artificial regeneration is carried out for two object reforestation and afforestation. Reforestation is restocking of field or otherwise cleared woodland by artificial means. And afforestation is the establishment of forest by artificial means on an area from which vegetation has always or long been absent. Okay, and we are going to forest protection. Concern forest protection concern with the activity directed toward the prevention and control of damage including fire. Okay, including fire, animal, insect, fungi, injury, plant, and adverse climatic factor. Okay, branch of forestry. त्यसपछि insect of part. Okay, defoliator, shoot borer, bark borer, cambium, and wood borer. Okay, defoliator, direct destroy in foliage of tree by direct it rolling leaf or it part. टिकको डिफोल्ट गर्छ हाइबिलिया पुरै डिफोल्ट गर्छ हाइबिलिया र देवदारलाई चाहिँ इट्रोपिक्स देवदाराले डिफोल्ट गर्छ सिसुङलाई चाहिँ प्लेक्टोप्टेरा रिफ्लेक्सले प्लेट जस्तै डिफोल्ट गराइदिन्छ अब सुट बोररलाई चाहिँ दिस टाइप अफ इन्सेक्ट डिस्ट्रोइड flower, fruit, and ultimately shoot are destroyed and growth rate decrease. टोनी सुट चाहिँ हाइप्सिफाइला रोबस्ता टोनी चाहिँ को चाहिँ हाइप्सिफाइला रोबस्ता सिमल टोनिका निबिफेरा सिमललाई चाहिँ सुट खान्छ सिमलको सुट टोनिका निबिफेरा बार्क बोरर destroyed bark of tree chirpine caused by ip longifolia and sisu एमाइडेरा केरामान्सिस सिसुङको बार्क बोररमा अनि क्याम्बियम एन्ड वुड बोरर ओके क्याम्बियम एन्ड वुड बोरर चाहिँ हटवुड बोररमा चाहिँ साल चाहिँ हौलोसेराम्फिस स्पाइनिकर्निस हटमा लाग्छ नर्सरी पेस्ट ओके Nursery seedling are affected by certain group of insect. These are cockchafer. Cockchafer group are root feeder. They kill the seedling by destruction of rootlets or removal of bark of taps and cutworms. Okay. Cutworm or surface caterpillars cut off seedling from ground level. Damage caused by these pit are more serious in conifer seedling. Conifer seedling मा बढी हुन्छ. Cutworm are leaf eater. Okay. Cricket feed on young seedlings and low shoot, cutting them at night and dragging the piece into the funnel for feeding. Grasshopper also injurious to nursery plant. Balting mechanical control measure. It is the method of altering insect to control their population in nursery. Beeholes borer, Xylcotes ceramicus is abundantly found in teak plantation area. Abundant found हुन्छ. Nursery disease डिजिजको बारेमा पढौँ. Damping up most serious disease in nursery and primary disease of conifer. Dam cause of damping up is फङ्गीबाट हुन्छ पाइथियम राइजोक्टोनिया फाइटोप्थरा एन्ड फ्युजारियम. Excessive moisture and shading, clay and wet soil favor damping up pine up. Control measure soil pH चाहिँ soil pH should be 4.5 to 5.5 and nursery site should be well drained, having light soil texture without overhead shade. Soil or seed can be sterilized and treated with chemical and transplanting should be safe and injuries can cause disease. And plant disease in plant has been defined as sustained physiological and resulting structural disturbance of living tissue and organs, ending sometimes in death. Disease are two types. के डिजिजहरू हुन्छ त pathogen and non-pathogenic. Pathogenic caused by pathogens like fungi, bacteria and virus. Non-pathogen physiological caused by adverse environmental factor. Symptoms of plant disease are apparent expression of presence and progress of disease in thorai. There are three kind of symptoms. Necrotic symptoms, hypertrophic र hypertrophic symptoms. Okay, necrotic symptoms refer to the death of certain part and finally of the whole plant is necrotic symptoms. And wilt चाहिँ के भने wilt is the dropping of the foliage. Okay, dropping of the foliage and ultimately the pathological or physiological death of plant tree. Canker is a defined relatively localized necrotic lesion primarily of the bark and cambium. Decay is the decomposition of wood by fungi which may attack the living tissue or the disease. Of atrophic symptom relate to slowing of growth resulting from subnormal cell division, dwarfing of or chlorosis. Atrophic. Hypertrophic symptoms relate to abnormal growth resulting from either abnormal cell division or cell size or gall width bone tumor. Okay, and forestry disease अरू के हुन्छ भने forestry disease, root rot disease and bud rot disease, leaf and twigs rust, heart rot disease, pink disease, needle rust. Root rot disease caused by root infecting fungi, poor soil aeration, poor drainage of soil, nutrient imbalance in soil, gap होइन ग्याप के रुट रट ग्याप हुँदो रहेछ नि. ग्यानोडर्मल ल्युसिडियम इन सिसौँ, खैर एन्ड पपुलस. एसकेपीमा चाहिँ सिसौँ, खैर एन्ड पपुलर चाहिँ ग्यानोडर्मल ल्युसिडम रुट. त्यसपछि आर्मेलिया मेलिया देवदार, फायर स्पर टिक चिरपाइन बिलिपाइन. डिएसपी एप्टी चाहिँ आर्मेलिया मेलिया एन्ड पेनियोफोरा राइजोमोर्फो एन्ड पोलिपोरस जोनालिस इज टिक. ओके, पोलिपोरस सोरियाई and forms lamoensis in sal. Okay, and bud rot disease FFP, bud rot भने FFP. Farm anosus and Piniophora luna in devdar, Farm anosus in chirpine and bilupine, Polyporus tomentosa sus in devdar, spruce and bilupine. Hot rot disease caused by a number of fungi when the wood is exposed by some injury. Hot माने हाइमेनोचाटा रुबिजिनोसा Form caryophyllae, form fastuosus in sal, form beardius in khoer, form piney in chirpine and bilupine, and Ganoderma eplantum and form pinicola in chirpine, and uh, and form fomentarius, form fomentarius, form robusta, and form pini in fire and spore, and trummates pine in blue pine. Okay, त्यसपछि गएर विल्ट डिजिज, अब विल्ट डिजिज आयो. विल्ट डिजिज फ्युजारियन सोलानी इन सिसौँ विल्ट हुन्छ, र फ्युडोमोनास सोलानासियरम इन टिक, ट्रिकोस्पोरियम भिस्कुलोसोम कज स्टिम विल्ट इन कसाउरियना एक्जोटिक स्पिसिस, सेराटोसाइटिक्स फागासिरम इन वोक अफ साउथ एसिया, साउथर्न युएसए, भर्टिसिलियम विल्ट इन भर्टिसिलियम स्पिसिस, निडल रस्ट हुने चाहिँ कोलियोस्पोरियम क्याम्पानुला इन चिरपाइन एन्ड ब्लुपाइन, होइन. निडल चाहिँ कोलियोस्पोरियम क्याम्पानुला इन चिरपाइन एन्ड ब्लुपाइन. पेरियोडर्मा थोम्सोनी पाइसिया, पेरियोडर्मा पाइसिया, सेरोप्सोरा पाइसिया इन स्पर्स, leaf and twigs, urido sisson is sisson, leaf and twigs urido sisson is sisson. Pink disease, okay, pink disease चाहिँ corticium salmonicolar in teak and eucalyptus hybrid collar pink. Spike disease in Santalum album, sandalwood, Ganoderma lucidum in eucalyptus hybrid, Chirpine suetaria fault rust, Chronartium himalayensis in Chirpine, steam blaster dot, Chronartium ribiculum in blue pine, leaf roller or of sisson, Epoderus sisson, and rapid fire मा चाहिँ seedling mortality in eucalyptus is caused by Cylindrocladium quinquegitatum, Cylindrocladium quinquegitatum, which brome in Devdar is caused by Peridermium cedri. Okay, butt and trunk rot disease in Devdar is caused by Pineophora luna. Poria monticola cause brown cuboidal decay in chirpine. Damping up is primary disease of conifer seedlings. Okay, damping off is caused by a number of fungi, the most important of which are Phythium, Rhizoctonia, Phytophthora and Fusarium. Damping off is favor in clay and wet soil, and the proportion nursery against damping up, it should be located in well drained site with light texture soil, acid soil 4.5 to 5.5. Only soil treatment should be carried out to protect conifer seedling against damping off, and Blitox and Captain are fungicide, and prescribed burning is control burning, and study of insect entomology. Dead cell of tree are found only in hotwood. Polyporous soriae attack soil moisture increase. When soil moisture increase भएपछि damping of disease appears mostly in young seedling. Presence of the weed like Primna and Vitex in teak forest facilitate increase of Hybelia puria. Silver fir seedling are reported to start wilting as soon temperature reach 30 degrees or 30 degrees Celsius, and and hot hardiness in plant in induced by low water content, high sugar content, and deficiency of nitrogen. Snowfall result in the mechanical being of stem or tree bending. Okay, kale Pinus wallichiana is most susceptible to snow break, and Devdar comes next. Snow is reported to favor for growth of certain fungi, forms and termites. Live fence is commonly raised around agriculture field. Thorn fence is made by helping of thorny blades of Ziziphus. The the stone wall is made of dry stone masonry, 75 सेन्टिमिटरदेखि 90 सेन्टिमिटर, वाइड एट द बटम चाहिँ 45देखि 60 सेन्टिमिटर, वाइड एट टप 1.2 to 1.5 meter height. Barbed wire fence is made of standard of barbed wire laid horizontally on wooden or iron pot. Cattle proof fence wire fence is introduced when only domestic cattle are to be kept out. The posts used for cattle proof barbed wire fence are usually 2.1 meter long, but when the fence is to be erected in sandy soil, they are kept 2.3 meter long, and the pith are usually spaced 3.6 apart in cattle proof barbed wire fence. The cattle proof fence is 142 centimeter height, and game proof barbed wire fence is erected when wild animal like chital sambar have to be kept out. Game proof barbed wire fence is 2.4 meter height. The post for barbed and woven wire game proof fence are 3.16 meter height and fixed at 3.6 or 3.3 meter apart, and barbed and woven wire fence is 2.33 meter height. The larva of Hoblocerambis spinicornis makes tunnel in the tree, but it is killed by resin secreted by sal. Okay, and forest fire are caused by natural cause and man carelessness and man deliberate and intentional action. The the fire that are caused unintentionally by man are called accidental fire. Unintentionally भयो भने accidental fire. And creeping fire is defined as a forest fire spreading slowly over the ground with low flame over the ground. And creeping fire usually occurs in forest with no ground cover or underground. Ground fire is defined as a forest fire that burn the ground cover only, that is the carpet of herbaceous plant and low shrub which cover the soil. Ground fire sometimes occurs in Deodar forest as a result of splash disposal. Surface fire is defined as a forest fire which burn not merely the ground cover but also underground. Most of the fire in the plain area are surface fire. And त्यसपछि crown fire is defined as a forest fire which spread through the crown of tree and consumes all or part of the upper branch foliage usually occurs in coniferous species. These species which have thick corky bark and comparatively less affected by forest fire than the species with thin bark. The broadleaf tree are less affected by forest fire than the conifer. Deodar, spur and fire are very fire sensitive. Okay, cheer in fire resistance due to its thick corky bark, but if it has resin channel, it get very severely damaged. Southern or southwest aspect get greater fire risk compared to northern or northeast aspect, and fire spread very fast when traveling up a hill slope, but it speed slow down considerably when it travel down. Study made in Canada indicate that the speed of forest fire may vary from 0.3 meter per minute to 107 meter per minute. Under forest canopy, the speed of an ordinary fire does not exceed 6 meter per minute. Fire line is defined as a clear permanent fire break in inter, intended to prevent fire from crossing the one area to another. Fire line may be at the most 4.5 meter wide. Grazing animals are those animals that mostly feed on good grass and herbage. Cow, buffalo, and horse, bullock, and browsing animals are those animals which feed on twigs of shoot with or without leaves of shrubs, tree, woody timber, forest, goat, camel, and elephant. Okay, is browsing animal. Light control grazing is useful to forest compared to heavy uncontrolled grazing. Amongst the browsing animal, the goat is more destructive. Camel makes decrease desert whenever it browse. Okay, camel जहाँ चढ्छ त्यहाँ desert बन्छ. Carnivore are very useful from the point of view of forest protection. Carnivore is best for forest protection. Wild elephant are most bamboo destructives of bamboo, which is one of their favorite food. Okay, and domestic elephant feed on leaves and branch of palpal, Picea peligrosa, and bar Ficus bengalensis. Porcupines porcupines are very fond of coyote seedling and simul root. Okay, and thank you.